There are really only 3 key things holding back your nutrition coaching business. And today I'm gonna share them with you, plus show you exactly how to solve them so you can get more clients and help more people. Starting with number 1, you're reinventing the wheel. Success leaves clues, and if you're smart enough, you'll notice them. I've worked with hundreds of nutrition coaches over the last 5 years. And if there's one thing that I've noticed that holds them back more than anything else, it's fear of competition and it's fear of copying others. Often they've worked with a previous coach, they've found something that works, but they're afraid of doing something similar because it would be copying. They feel like that would be misleading or unethical. Or they may see someone else in the nutrition coaching space working in a particular niche, doing something that they would like to be doing. But since they don't want to step on any toes, they do something entirely different so that they're not doing the exact same thing, so they don't have to compete. And this really holds them back. This fear of competition or fear of doing things similarly often drives them into uncharted territory, which means it's not going to work. Spoiler alert, you don't want to be the first one to do something. That only works if it's something like the moon landing. One of the best things you can do is start to emulate what successful people are already doing. Literally look at someone in the nutrition coaching space doing the things that you want to do, working with the people that you want to work with, getting similar results in a similar coaching style, and check out what they're posting on social media and what is getting the best engagement and what is getting the best reach, and do something similar. You want to take this stuff and you want to make it your own, and it's one of the smartest things you can do. And the reason you're not doing this is probably from some early experience as a kid and thinking that this would be copying, or you were encouraged to work, as an individual and not as a team. This mentality is holding you back. So instead, use successful people as examples and start to adapt their strategies as your own. Don't copy them entirely. Like, don't take screenshots of what they're doing and post it like your own content, because that's not going to be helpful. But use their success, the things that are working well, as a validated starting point. And that competition, that thing that you're running from, is the absolute best thing that you can have. It means that someone else is doing what you want to do. There's a path to success. Think about it this way. Think about you playing a sport when you were young and you're trying to improve. You were probably trying to copy an advanced athlete, an athlete way ahead of you, a professional athlete in their own sport, and you were copying what they were doing. You were trying to emulate what made them successful, the moves, the technique, the swagger. You did this because you knew they had made it. Why wouldn't you try to be them? You won't do it exactly the same way, but you need an example to work from. The same principle applies to your nutrition coaching business. Why do all the heavy lifting yourself when someone else has already done it? Consider using something like the skyscraper method, where you're building on what's already been successful. Take someone else's success and make it your own. Build on it. Even if I were to copy a painting entirely, it wouldn't look the same. It would be my own version with my own insights and personality and experiences. It's never going to be identical, but you need a starting point. The next big thing that's holding you back is you care way too much about educating. No one else is going to share this with you, but since it's going to be the difference maker in your nutrition coaching business, I'm going to share it with you now. I'm passing this along because it took me literally years to figure it out. Here's the big lesson. Your goal as a nutrition coach, both in your coaching, but also in social media, should be to educate people without them even knowing it. Because although knowledge is important, the people that need your help, the people that are willing to pay for your help, they don't really care about it. Sure, they may say they do at times, but what they really care about when push comes to shove is achieving a specific result. And they're only going to achieve that if you can keep their attention for long enough. And you don't do that through teaching them. You do that through hooking them in and sprinkling in the stuff they need to know before they even realize it. And this flies in the face of everything that we know about education. Let me give you an example. 98% of your clients are going to need to eat more protein, yet none of them are actually doing it. Good coaches will identify this, and they'll start to educate their clients and the people that follow them on social media around what protein is. So they start creating posts and videos saying things like, let's talk about protein, why it's important, and maybe even some good sources of protein. But at this point, you've already lost most people. Here's what great coaches do instead. They explain the one big thing holding you back from your ability to lose more fat and the steps you need to eat more protein, while sprinkling in some important things about protein along the way. They tell you exactly what to eat with step-by-step suggestions and explaining why people would want to do it. The latter coach is educating people without even realizing it. And as you may have guessed, the coach that's getting more clients and getting better results for those clients. I recently did this in a video about the carnivore diet. Instead of doing a video on why I think it's a bad idea to eat only meat, I did a video on why I was quitting the carnivore diet, sharing my experience while teaching people that there are better ways to eat. So instead of defining intuitive eating, create a resource on I tried intuitive eating for 30 days and here's what happened. Teach the people around you without them even realizing it. If you want to become an in-demand nutrition coach, you'll need to approach this differently than everybody else. And this is one way of doing that. Next up, we have our last point, which is the one thing that wrecks most nutrition coaches before they even start, which is point number 3, you're playing too small. Everything you've learned about setting goals is at best flawed and at worst, a complete lie. And this is wrecking your chances at nutrition coaching success. See, we've always been taught to set small, measurable, realistic goals. And it turns out hitting those goals can be really hard, harder than they would be if they were bigger and a little bolder. And why is that? Because there are literally a million ways to achieve them. And when you have a lot of different options and a lot of different competing interests, it rarely gets done. But what happens when you set big, scary goals? Well, all of a sudden there are very few paths to get there. And if you do take action on one of these paths, you're much more likely to be on the path of success. This situation reminded me of a young, aspiring strength athlete in my community many years ago. She was new on the scene and making good progress, chasing the ranks of many strength athletes quite a bit ahead of her. She was on a really good trajectory. She was on a path to be better than most of them, to be one of the best around. But when she started talking about her goals openly, many of the people around her, and even myself included, to be honest, laughed. I'm going to the Olympics in 4 years, she said. The Olympics? You literally just started this sport. You need to pay your dues, work hard, and even then it's probably too lofty to actually happen. But guess what she did after she said that? She uprooted her life entirely and moved to the best place she could train, surrounded by the best athletes and surrounded by the best coaches. And can you guess what happened next? She completely skyrocketed, winning big competitions, adding silly amounts of weight to her totals. Was she the most talented athlete around? No, she wasn't. And although, spoiler alert, she wouldn't make the Olympics, she would get pretty close, with multiple podium finishes at the national level. What made this athlete special is she stumbled upon a concept called 10x is easier than 2x, made popular by business coach Dan Sullivan and author Ben Hardy. She set a massive goal and focused all of her energy on achieving that goal and that goal alone, and nothing else. And that's when we get the best return on our effort. And since the only way to achieve that goal was to surround herself with the people that would help her get there, there was only one option to follow, and that's how you achieve anything big in life. And that has nothing to do with setting small, manageable goals. So what does this mean for your nutrition coaching business? You need to stop playing small. You can't go full time with your nutrition coaching if you only treat it like a hobby. So instead of saying something like, wow, I just want to take my nutrition coaching more seriously, what would happen if you set the goal of having 50 paying nutrition clients by the end of this year? I bet you would start posting every day. You'd attend all of the calls with your mentor, and you wouldn't make excuses about the action steps that you needed to take. You'd burn all the boats and you wouldn't look back, because you'd need to set big goals and there becomes less options to get there. Now, as great as all those tips are, if you're really serious about starting your nutrition coaching business, the next thing I'm gonna have you do is check out this video I've linked up right here. Today, we talked about what's holding you back. Next, I wanna show you the things that you actually need to do to start and grow your nutrition coaching business. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video.